Hi, everybody. Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
Hello? I don't have sound? Oh. Okay. Sorry.
Dave Reeser.
Yes, sir.
Tom Basher. I'll put you after the public comment if you have any comments for the water thing there.
Okay, that'll be short and sweet.
Well, that's okay. I know it wasn't on the sheet, but I'm going to plug it in there for you.
Yes, I just joined. I will be glad to give you an update.
All right. And I don't know if Chris is going to be there or not. I know.
I don't know. I don't see him. Let me look and check.
I didn't see him.
He's not on so far. I don't know if he was going to join in or not.
Yeah, and I know just so if he doesn't want to hang around, he wouldn't have to. But all right, if he comes, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll put that after public comment there.
No problem.
All right.
Hey, Tom.
Hey. Oh,
Hello?
who else is here?
Greetings from Chicago.
Is that where you are?
Yes. Hi there.
Hi.
Actually, there's more snow in Reading than there is out here.
That's great.
Wait till Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh.
Old Lake, Michigan hasn't got herself in an uproar yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Those are grandchildren.
Not mine.
Are we being hacked again?
I hope not. Who's in the? Is that like a wedding picture there? What is that one? Susan.
Looks like it.
Oh my God. Whoever has the small children, please remove them from the room. Well, I have three. Melissa, are you expecting anyone who we don't see here that you know of?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. All right, then I guess we're ready to go. Have we got everybody? You want to do roll call? We'll call to order first of all, and then roll call, please.
Sure. Tom Boucher,
Here.
Dave Reeser,
Here.
Steve Brunner,
Hello. Here.
John Woodward, and Tom Mull.
Here.
Here.
Okay, so what, John isn't, I didn't hear John. Did he say here? No answer?
Here.
Here.
He is there, okay. All right, then we'll
John
move-
is here.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, then we'll move on to public comment with a little bit of a paragraph here about related to the subject matter, jurisdiction of Borough Council, the virtual public meeting and shall be limited to matters of public concern, official action, deliberations that are or may come before a council committee or board. Chris, is there anything else we need to know for that?
Oh, it's fine.
That's an excerpt from the law.
Okay, take it easy. We'll just, no problem. Just asking. All right, public comment.
Okay, can I say it's Adrian Jadik again?
Go ahead.
So yes, I'm as instructed last time. I brought this to the. So I have two matters today to the infrastructure committee. I have two matters. I'm going to try and speak fast. First of all, it's about Spiral Lane. We've discussed this matter for more than a year now. We are not. Hello. We are. we're not asking for some investment or expensive study or anything like that. Or we are asking is for the borough rules to be followed and enforced, and maybe some letters sent to the adjacent owners. We're not talking millions of dollars. We're not even talking about dollars. We're just talking about a few letters, and we're at it for more than a year. You said that something is being done. I don't know. I've never heard of it. You never told me. Nobody tells us. I'm sending emails to Mr. Brandenburg and receiving absolutely no answer. So going forward, craft services to our perception is really wasting our time and the borough's money. First, they came here and acknowledged that there were obvious signs that at least one resident is blowing leaves and mulch onto the pathway. Their visit was on October 20th. And as you pointed last time, yeah, the letter does not have a date, but I do have actually the envelope right here with a timestamp, and you can see that the letter was sent exactly 1 month later, 20th of November. So the letter was 20th of October. The visit was 20th of October. So obviously, it doesn't mean that this is a timely response, and in fact, there's no response, because in the letter, as you can see, he does not provide any solution. He just says that, number one, they just left some business cards in the door. I don't know if I find a business card in the door, I'm not going to call that person. And the second, that there is no, excuse me, this is my phone. There is no violation, code violation. And now we can go to the next one, Melissa. That is completely false. So either they don't know what they're doing, or they're just trying to fool us and waste our time, or things like that. As I said go one down, Melissa. Paragraph 403 says clearly, no person shall plant or cause to be planted any tree closer to at less than 2 feet center from any property line. So if we look at the definition of the tree, it includes shrubs and everything, pretty much exactly what we have down there. Plus, we have a huge tree down there, of which the roots are lifting the pathway up, and it's a tripping hazard right now. So, of course, there will need to be something to be done, but all we're asking right now is cut the other bushes as per borough code. Today, don't let them grow until they lift the sidewalk. It's that simple. Let's measure 2 feet, cut whatever it is. They're pretty hefty bushes over there, and let's cut them, and let's follow the code. And cut the tree, and once the tree is cut, we can fix the sidewalk, the path. So all we need is just some letters, and to stop the contractors to blow leaves and mulch onto the pathway. This is simple. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here, because I'm gonna send Melissa a more detailed letter to attach. I have my second thing to talk to you about, the second matter. At past council meeting, I was surprised to hear Mr. Woodward speak in favor of installing the level 2 pay-per-use charging stations somewhere in the borough. I think I know where, it doesn't matter now. He visibly showed a deep lack of understanding of how electric vehicles work. He said, quote, "Oh, that would be great if some guy comes here and charges in the borough and the borough gets the money." I have sent, I think, a pretty detailed explanation of how this thing works to Michelle, and I'm surprised that we're still talking about this. And I'm going to give you just a very short analogy so everybody understands how electric vehicles, what's the big deal about electric vehicles. Just imagine that you would have an unlimited supply of gasoline in your garage for next to nothing money. Why would you go to a gas station to pay $3 a gallon? You would just fill up your tank every morning and then fill it up again when it empties. Or put some more just to have a full tank in case you have to go to the airport and back. You would not buy, unless you're going on a long trip. But when you go on a long trip, it's a completely different animal. You're not charging at a level 2. A level 2 is a trickle charge, which you have to stay there for about 8 hours to fill up a car. Nobody will do that. Moreover, I explained to Melissa, there are free chargers, level 2 chargers at Tomasano, Ford, and everywhere. Pretty much every dealership that sells electric cars has them, and you can access them for free. Why would somebody pay money to the borough? I guess I'm over 5 minutes, right?
Where are we going with this? What's the point?
I'm speaking against spending borough's money to install level 2 chargers. They're worthless. You will just spend money and nobody will use them. You will not get any return on your investment.
Okay.
Even if they are, as I understand, financed.
All right. Point noted and time's up.
Okay.
Tom, this is Dave Reese. May I speak in regard to Spiral Lane?
You may.
Barbara and I walked over there a couple weeks ago to try to understand what the situation was. Quite honestly, I thought it looked pretty darn nice. The only comment I could make is, yes, the railing should be painted, but it's certainly not a dire need. Put it on the schedule for next year or so. But other than that, I thought it was a nice walkable lane, and I didn't see any issues at all with Spiral Lane. So that's my comment.
Okay.
Well, I would like, if you want, you can come, and we've had discussions. I can point them to you. But what I said about trees being planted more than feet.
I got it.
Okay, it's fine.
I got it. We'll discuss it again somehow, I guess, in staff, I guess. Ms. Pat, or Mr. Brandenburg, are you there? We can.
Again, we've been talking about a year on.
I know.
Okay.
You and Michelle and maybe I can sit down and have a little chat.
I would
Take care.
certainly appreciate that if I would be included. Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let me get started first. All right.
Thank you. Okay, I'm out.
All right. Is there anyone else here for public comment, Melissa, that you know
I don't see anybody.
of? Okay. All right. Moving on then to Michelle with the codes report there. Oh, no, wait. Sorry. Water first. Sorry, Dave. I must have done again.
Okay, I see Chris is also on. Chris, you can
Oh.
certainly comment. The only comment I have is I believe we are still waiting for the DEP license for operation. And they assured us that we would have it by this year. That's all I'm going to comment. Chris, do you have any other comments?
So we got what, 10 days to go, right? Yeah.
That was weeks and weeks ago.
All right.
No,
Chris?
I've got nothing else.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
All right. Well, thanks for coming though, Chris. And Dave's here all the time now, but Chris, you're more than welcome anytime. If you got something, make sure you chime in there.
I will. Thanks a lot.
Okay. All right. Zoning there and codes. Michelle.
So you all received a copy of my November report. Outside of 24 Valley, which I'll talk about after we discuss the report in general. You may have noted under Wyomissing Hills Swimming Association, there was a follow-up inspection. Steve Brunner was kind enough to reach out to his contact on the Pool Association's board. They indicated to Steve that they made some repairs. Those repairs consisted of taking out 2 railroad ties, but that didn't do anything to fix the underlying issues with the wall. So that's where things stand as of now. I gathered, while I was not at the November infrastructure meeting, I gathered that the committee was not in favor of moving forward with taking any action at this time to make the repairs for the pool. If that continues to hold true, I would say, let's respond to the pool and say, okay, you took 2 railroad ties out. What are your plans on the other side of winter, and see where the conversation goes.
Okay, boy. We've dragged this one around the yard too a few times. I just don't understand. I can't remove that stuff and be done with it there. I don't know.
It's not as simple as just
Not just
removing
a
it.
removal.
You have to rebuild the entire wall.
Didn't
I
Jim
still-
McCarthy have a number on that?
What?
Did Jim McCarthy have a number on repairing that wall?
I don't know.
I believe it was under 10,000.
Yeah.
My only concern is we'll never get that back as long as that place exists. That'll sit there forever, and even after it doesn't exist. So I don't think we're responsible for fixing their darn wall. I really don't. I mean, I get the other part of it, and they aren't passing inspection, but that's not our deal. That's their deal.
Well,
I guess.
what you can do is you lean it, and if it just goes into bankruptcy, we'll get our money back.
I know, but we could do that with every sidewalk in town too.
Well, that's true too.
I know.
From a financial standpoint, I agree with Tom, number one. We're just never going to get our money back from that, even if we do lean it, because it'll just go away, and it's just, we're going to fix their wall and get nothing from it.
Yeah. That's what I think too, but, all right, well, I guess keep after them, Michelle.
Okay.
I believe, from the information I gather, I believe they understand that they have to fix it. They just don't have the wherewithal, or hopefully maybe a member will join that knows what they're doing.
Oh, God. Oh, my Lord. Okay. I was looking down through the list here. Michelle, I saw a couple about, I see this other thing, the business card thing seems to be a habit right now.
We've always done that. And
yeah, I know, but I see this in an attempt to start a conversation as a thing, and this Heather Bard one on the North Wyomissing Boulevard.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what good the card is doing because it doesn't seem to have produced any results. I don't know. Are there other? I mean, I see there are some results from others, but that one doesn't seem to have gotten anything.
Well, no, and she's a repeat offender. So I think in this case, Chris already has a rapport with her and figured he'd start out with the conversation and see if he got anywhere. Much like life in general, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. If you leave a card and have a friendly approach, not only is it saving the borough money in that we're not automatically sending a certified letter to the tune of $7 a pop, if you're nice when you approach someone, especially if it's someone you've never had contact with before, hey, I'm not sure if you're aware the borough has this enforcement program. You are in violation of X section. Could you please fix whatever the problem is within the next couple of days? We'll continue to monitor it and follow up with you. And just so you're aware, if that doesn't happen, we will have to take further legal action in the in the form of an actual enforcement notice.
And I agree with you. That's fine to start with, but like when you say this person is a habitual offender, that's when I think, oh, that isn't working. 1324 Garfield.
Yes.
No lids on their trash can. Is that a normal thing?
Unfortunately, yes. And there's a lot. I don't know if you pay attention on trash collection days in different parts of the borough. There's a lot of people that either just put their bags out, not in a can, or put their cans out without a lid on it. And then in this case, what was happening, the neighbor was actually calling to complain that the can was getting knocked over and the trash was blowing all over the place. So it is in the property maintenance code that when you put your trash out, it has to be in a sealed container with a close fitting lid. The container has to be leak proof and waterproof. In this case, it's a rental property. And the way the property maintenance code is worded, the property owner is responsible for providing those containers with lids.
Well, then you get on my neighbor's rear end because I've put in there about lids before and nobody's done a thing about it. Nothing.
Duly noted.
But I've mentioned lids and nobody has done a thing about it. It's been ignored. Totally. Time after.
If you went through the whole borough to nail everybody who didn't have a lid on, we wouldn't have a problem with finances.
Well, if you were next door to the one I have, you'd know why after all the rodent, the stuff that's around there. It's a whole different story.
How about the one I'm next door to?
Well, he's in Chicago right now.
He's on the phone. He's on it right now.
That's right. I'm right here.
Okay, and when they say they're going to continue to monitor things, is that how often do they go back then?
Weekly.
Hey, Bill, when you do the trash newsletter, does it make sense to say it's supposed to be in a container with a lid on it?
It's already in the newsletter and on the website.
Well, mark me down as an official complaint again then, Michelle.
I already made myself note.
Okay, it's there every time. All right. I saw. Oh, this other vehicle on Warwick Drive says they can take care of the second vehicle. They've had a time extension. I'm not quite sure what that means, but.
I granted them a time. So when we issue an enforcement notice, there's a specific time period we give someone to comply. In this case, the property owner lost her job because of COVID. She was able to get the one vehicle taken care of.
Yeah.
The other, she's waiting on her finances to come back to where they were until she can finish making the repairs.
Okay.
So she reached out to me directly and asked for a time extension, and given the circumstances, I felt that was more than acceptable.
All right, well, that makes sense. Just checking. I didn't know. It didn't say how long or anything, that's why. All right. Anything else with that, Michelle, with the codes and stuff?
Just to respond to Mr. Jadek's comments in general, the section of the streets and sidewalk ordinance that he referenced has never been enforced. If you read the definition of street, it includes alleys. If you think of every alley in the borough, your backyard included, Mr. Boucher, there are hedges, shrubs, trees, ivy, gardens, you name it, planted right up to the property line. So to enforce against Spiral Lane and require those property owners to take out those plantings means we would be doing the same thing across the borough. And also there is no ordinance against blowing leaves or mulch anywhere on private or public property.
Michelle, if I may, the problem is when
Wait,
it's.
Wait, we'll get off the track here. She's making a comment there.
Okay.
Just hang on, let us go on here. Okay, Michelle, I got it. I hear it, I understand it. And if he wants to call you and discuss it more, he can, I guess.
Fair enough.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to move on to 24 Valley unless you wanted to
No,
discuss.
go ahead.
Melissa, can you pull up the pictures? Thank you. The enforcement notice you're looking at was issued in April of 2019 to the owner of 24 Valley Road. No action was taken within the required time frame, much less within the weeks after that. I eventually filed multiple citations against this property owner, which I followed up with the district justice's office on. They're all outstanding. Warrants have been issued. Part of the problem with this owner is she lives out of state. I've also confirmed, and I mean, I guess this is a glitch between the police department and how warrants are put out, but the police department confirmed if they pulled her over, the warrant's not going to show up. They checked the system and nothing showing outstanding, despite the fact Judge Taylor's office has assured me multiple times the warrants are out there and active. Given the amount of time we've given this property owner to comply, that she's never responded to the notice, any of the citations or paperwork she received from Judge Taylor's office, and that she lives out of state and infrequently visits the property, I would respectfully request that the committee make a recommendation for council to authorize the solicitor to move forward with filing for an injunction to allow the borough to take the fence down. The pool that is in the backyard is an above ground fence, or I'm sorry, an above ground pool, so the fence is not required for it to be safe under building code requirements. Take the fence down, poke some holes in the bottom of the pool so that it can drain properly. We're done.
Unreal. Okay. Well, do we have to obviously take some action on that, obviously?
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess how do they say it? The 10,000 mile march starts with the first mile, or the first step. So let's go, I guess. So what, we go in there and just rip it up and throw it away kind of thing, or haul it away? Then what happens? What about the pool thing? Poking holes in sounds like that's what has to be done. But I mean, is that going to cause a problem?
It's going to actually fix the current problem, which is that the pool doesn't have a cover on it and it's not hooked up to a filtration system. So stagnant water forms in there, and in the summer it becomes a mosquito breeding ground.
Is there a drain thing to it that we don't have to poke a hole in it, or what? Or is that just a terminology?
I mean, without actually accessing the property, which we have no legal right to do at this point, I can't tell you what's on the other side of that fence, besides a pool filled with stagnant water that the neighbors are complaining about.
And is it dangerous if some child were to crawl up in there? Is that the deal?
Well, again, because it's an above ground pool, the walls of the pool automatically meet the building code requirements. I mean, I could have Kraft look at that once we had legal permission to enter the property, but the general assumption with an above ground pool is that they are manufactured specifically to meet the barrier requirement of the building code. So the walls of the pool are the height that a fence would be required to be.
All you need is some kid to crawl up there, though. And I've seen my granddaughter can hang underneath her kitchen table and you don't even see her. So, and she's like 3. Kids can do dumb, crazy stuff. I don't want to see somebody really get hurt there or die, for God's sake.
No, I understand that, but that's also why once the fence was down and we had access to the property, I could have Kraft assess it from a building code perspective to say, if we take this fence down and leave the pool remaining, does it still meet building code requirements that it's safe?
Okay, I mean, we can do that quickly. That wouldn't be months later, I hope. That's what I meant, I guess.
No, it would all happen on the same day. I mean, first we have to have the legal right to access the property.
All right, so we need a motion to, file an injunction?
Chris, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's the right starting point. Recommend to council that the solicitor be authorized to file an action for an injunction to have the fence removed and to access the property and to remove the pool or to at least remove the water from the pool.
I do have a question. If we rip the fence down and access the property, and we don't know what's on the other side of the property, what makes you think it's not going to look a lot worse when you take off the fence?
Well, I mean, the alternative is we're repairing the fence. Your two options are to either take the fence down or file for an injunction to fix it and repair it.
Does she rent the property?
Correct.
So there is somebody living there?
Correct. My understanding is it's some relative in some fashion.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, to answer your question, if the fence comes down and the rest of the backyard is just as bad as the fence is, immediate violation notice for whatever those other property maintenance code issues are. And then same process of she either complies or we file citations, and you'd think she'd get the message after taking her fence down.
Do we take the whole fence down or just the sections that are dilapidated?
Well, I mean, once you take a portion of it down, what's the sense? I mean, we would normally take enforcement action against someone that had half a fence up as it being unfinished or not installed in a workmanlike manner.
Yeah. Listen, I'm all for taking the fence down and popping a hole in the pool, but I just don't want it to look worse for everybody else after that's done.
Agreed.
I agree, although it doesn't look so hot now either, but
No. I'll put it on the table. Let's put it up for a vote.
you're making the motion, Tom?
I will.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Steve seconds it, and I think we've pretty much hashed it out there. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, opposed? The ayes have it, and so ordered there. Okay, Michelle or Chris or whatever, whoever gets that ball rolling, go ahead. Oh, no, I guess we got to do it the council first, sorry.
Let's go to council. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, anything else, Michelle?
Nope, that's it for me unless anybody has any questions.
No, that's good. All right, thank you. Let's see, Lincoln drainage issue. Any comments here from Mike here? I mean, not Mike.
Sal, the property owner? Hi.
Jim. Yeah, hi. Oh, wait, we're not up to. Oh, we are at Lincoln. Sorry. I'm thinking of the other drainage issue. All right, Sal is here. Okay, Jim, any comments? Is Jim there?
Yeah, we went out. That's weird.
Feedback.
That's really weird. We went out and checked the upper ponds as well as all the pipes draining Lincoln itself into the ponds. And at this point, all the pipes do not need replacement. The sediment accumulation was pretty consistent over all 4 ponds at about 10 to 15 inches. The worst part, as we're all aware of, is the lower pond 1 that's on Sal's property where the pipe and embankment need to be replaced. Sal sent over a email last week. I guess it was last week. Yeah. That had the quote from his contractor of $13,690. And he requested with the borough consider splitting the cost of that with them.
And the legal thing there is what? I see you have homeowners are responsible for all pond maintenance. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's how I read the situation.
Well, I see Sal is online there.
I am here, yes.
Yeah.
So
I'm also on Gus from Omega.
Okay. Well.
So just to recap, if I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, Chris, is that legally correct? They are responsible for it?
Yes, I mean, when the property owner buys the property owner buys the responsibility to maintain the retention pond. I think he may argue that there is a public benefit to the maintenance of this facility. So that's, I think, a question for the committee to consider. But from a legal standpoint, my opinion is that it's the property owner's responsibility.
Okay, Sal, I know you want to comment. Go ahead.
Sure. I mean, I guess my comment is that a significant amount of the water from the street does run it back into there, right? It's set up that we have drains that feed back there. And so that's throughout the street and then builds up and all comes down to our property. And when we came here in the beginning, right? I mean, I think one can make the argument that that's public water going back there. But that's not what we wanted to do here. It seemed fair to split it down the middle is what we were proposing rather than, asking for it all or anything like that. But that's
just comments from the rest of the committee.
Advantage.
I'm listening. Anybody?
Tom, I'm not on the committee, but I'll comment. My only concern would be that if you can differentiate this from future requests and not set a precedent that will require an ongoing cost share with a lot bigger projects or even any projects at all. I mean, if you can differentiate, but if you can't differentiate, then I'm afraid of the precedent.
No, me too. I hear you.
Well, we had the,
May I make a comment, Mr. Chairman?
we had just done this up on Robert Road where we had those retention ponds that needed to be cleaned out in Wyomissing Hills that were flooding out the neighbors. And they had to agree amongst themselves to do it. The borough did not put any dollars into it. It's their responsibility.
Yeah, we kind of negotiated that position, I think, there. Yeah.
That's correct.
All right. Someone else had a comment.
Yeah, it's Gus from Omega Builders. Is it okay if I say now?
Go ahead.
Okay. I guess the only difference here is these ponds in the back were most of them up through all the way up to the end of Lincoln Court all take rainwater from the gutters and the downspouts from each property. The property located, Sal's property at 2011, and also the one next to it, there is a storm grate out in the front on the street, and there's a pipe that runs down between the two homes and dumps all the water off of the street back into the pond behind Sal's house. I think that's the only difference with the other ponds going up through. Is there a way that pipe could be closed and run down to the creek? I guess that's really the only reason that we came to the borough to begin with, is because that pond fills up with water that is not Sal's water, or the roof runoff. But it's all that street that runs all the way up to the cul-de-sac that catches that as it comes down through. So as it's coming down the street, gets redirected to behind his home, and the height of the pond now is at a height where the base of the pond is higher than the floor in Ferrarello's basement. So I guess that was the only thing that we kind of came to get help with from the borough. You know, we understand the maintenance, but this is a little bit beyond maintenance. And that's the whole reason that we opened the conversation to begin with.
All right, Jim McCarthy, the pipe, the way it flows that he's talking about there, what's the mechanics of that? I guess I'll ask.
Well, there's two pipes that drain Lincoln Court. One of them drains into the pond at Farrella's house, and one drains into the pond up further, and it takes all of the water off of Lincoln up to the cul-de-sac and there's properties above.
All right.
This work is not being done today, and I don't want to belabor the meeting. I don't know that we need an answer on this today. I think we just needed the Farrellas to present their position, and I think we can get back to them on that. I think it's probably something that council should talk about,
Okay.
But we could talk about today if you want to. There's no rush on this. Nobody's going out and doing this work now.
Right. Yeah, not this time of year for sure. All right, well then I think maybe a couple other questions here that we might have are about that in relation certainly to the cost of or opening a can of worms that could cause a problem for us with other things that are similar. Wow. Yeah, that's a biggie, I think. I know what he's talking about, but all right, well let's do that. If nothing else, we'll have to extend some conversation here with that, maybe as just a separate topic sometime here soon, so we don't just tie up the whole thing with that today. But I hear what you're saying, Sal, and let's get another view of it or handle here and see what we want to do here.
Appreciate your consideration in the matter. Thank you very much.
I know, you're welcome.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, the water system. Did I see some breaks today somewhere?
Jim's
I'm
not.
sorry,
I'm
Tom.
not aware of any breaks.
I'm sorry, Tom. I got your information on that. The mute was stuck.
Oh,
The speaking with Jim back in on November 27th, we had a 8-inch main with a leak on Greenwood Mall, just off of State Hill Road. That was repaired and placed back in service. There was a boil water advisory issued for that, and the samples came back fine, and that was released. There is currently a water leak in progress right now on Evans Avenue at the high school. It's a 6-inch main.
yeah.
That main is being repaired probably by clamp as I speak. And if there's anything that needs to be cooled there, they're keeping the line under pressure. The main only goes to the field house, which my understanding is going to be schools will be shutting down tomorrow anyhow. So they're not out of water at this point.
Is there also something on Parkside Drive North? I saw that was closed too. That's not a
It's
water?
just it's all Parkside Drive North is just, that's where the closure is up on Evans.
Oh, okay. They got the line closed there for that. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. I just wondered. I saw there was a sign there too. Okay. Yeah. So are they expecting to be able to fix that today yet, or what?
That's my understanding.
Okay. All right. Anything else with the water system, Pat?
Not that I have of. Jim had another appointment he had to go to, so I'm filling in for him today. But nothing else that he related to me on the water system.
All right. Jim McCarthy, anything else there?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Sewers. That's ready to go, right?
Yes, the sewer, that just needs to be signed by Board Council.
Okay.
My audio seems horrible. I don't know. Is feedback on your end too?
Yeah, we've already approved all that, I think, right?
Yeah, it just needs to be signed.
Okay. Let's see, streets.
This is just, part of it's an update because we, as directed by infrastructure, we went directly to council, and the low bidder on bid day was not qualified to do the work. So the award went, council awarded to the second bidder, which is H&K Group, for $387,409.43. Then the other thing Jim wanted to talk about today was the curb notices going out because we need the curb replaced prior to April 15th of 2021.
Okay, so do we need to push this on the bidder on to council for January?
No, the bid, that's already done. We need to push the curb notices on.
Just the curb notices. Yeah, I see that was okay. So that's we had the special. Okay, so we want to make a motion to that effect to put those notices out as soon as possible, I guess, right?
Tom, those notices have been out.
Oh, they're out.
Those notices were issued. One of the things that we received some comments back from 2 residents that right now they're concerned about their financial ability to be able to pay the borough back in a timely fashion. One of them being the amount of $1,327.65 at 4 Cherrywood. The other one at $885.10 at 18 Cherrywood. I'm not sure whether this committee wants to take a stance or whether we want to move over to finance, but we would need to come up with some kind of a program to allow these people a little bit more time to pay for their curb notices due to the COVID situation. And so I'm looking for your direction there on that.
Well, you finance guys, I don't know. What do you think? We can make a payment schedule or what?
Listen, my first reaction to that is I'm willing to listen, but if we're going to blame it on COVID, no one's going to pay anything.
All right, well.
I don't have a problem if you give them an extra, I'll give them till July 1st to pay it. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Typically what's happened when we've done the curb work is the curb notices don't go out until the project's completed. Meaning everything.
So we could give them.
Curb notices probably wouldn't go out to that, or let's just say the notices, the invoices for reimbursement probably wouldn't go out until August or September. If if they were to hire their own contractor to do the curb, they'd have to have it done and paid for before April 15th.
Right.
Then I stick to the billing them so they
Personally, I
pay
agree
in
with,
September.
personally, I agree with Steve though, is that if we do this, everything can be blamed on COVID and we'll sit here with holding an empty bag here. I think it sounds like they have plenty of time in there right now. I mean, hopefully things change dramatically until October or something, or September, but we never know, I realize, but well, let's just
I
wait.
notify them that the bill won't have to be paid until whatever time we think it is, and
Yeah.
We'll take
Go
care
from
of that, and if that creates an issue, we can set up some type of payment for the and get back to you.
All right, well, let's do that. Let's see what happens. I would say that too. That's if it's a ways off till that even happens. So
Yeah.
let's see what happens in the meantime.
Okay.
All right. 4th Street Extension.
I have a bunch of updates on this. I know one of the things that needs action is payment application number 2. In terms of the DCED grant reimbursement, the first reimbursement request is submitted, which includes that payment app number 2 to borrow us for $87,195.52. The amount of the reimbursement request that was submitted is for $264,707.46, which includes payment app number 1 and payment app number 2. That's currently been approved for compliance, and we're expecting payment, if not by the end of the year, the first week of January.
Okay, so we have both of those to deal with, those 2 payments, but we're expecting back $264,707.
Well, you've already approved payment app number 1. You
Yeah,
need
I
to
meant
approve.
2 and 3. I meant.
Yes.
Right, we have to deal with pay app 2 and 3 and change order 3.
And then once you do that, I'll give you the rest of the information.
So
Okay,
let's start with change order 3.
Is that
That
what
was for the stone, the additional soil removal and stone that we had gotten a conditional approval of up to $26,000. The actual amount of that change order is $21,804.40 based on
804?
actual quantities of work performed.
804 instead of 801?
21,801.40
Oh,
instead of 26,000.
right. Well,
so we're just approving that $21,000. What we're doing, 21,801.40.
Well, we already approved the 26. We're ratifying that and adjusting it based on the actual quantities to 21,804.40.
801.
Well,
yeah. Well, I'll tell you.
21,801.40.
Those have to be 3 separate motions, Chris?
Yeah, that's right. Let's do them one at a time.
Okay, well, the first one, just a comment on that. I can't believe that we drilled at all the wrong places to find out that there was no stone there. That's just beyond my comprehension. But since I don't drill for that kind of a thing, it's not my profession. I guess we'll just say they took a bad shot, but that's crazy. So the whole rest of that street, except right where they drilled, had no stone.
Approximately 80% of the street had no stone.
Well, boy.
Michelle, we applied this 21,801.40 to the grant, right?
That's an update I'm going to give you after you take action on this, unless you want me to talk about it now.
Well, I don't know. Would you have to talk about it now before we vote, you mean?
I don't think
No.
it matters either way in that we need to pay the change order. The work was done.
All right. Okay, well, then we'll look for a motion for the change order.
I'll make
I'll
a
make
motion.
a motion
We
that we pay
approve
change order number 3 of $28,801.40 for the addition of stone base to the 4th Street project.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Now, do you want to comment here, Michelle, or after we finish the others?
After we finish the others, because what I have to share with you is beyond just that change order and kind of ties everything together.
Okay, all right. Motion for payment app number 2, 87,195.52.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and payment app number 3, 154,595 and 97 cents. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now go ahead, Michelle.
So you're all aware that we actually received 2 grants for forestry, one from DCED for $2 million, one from PennDOT for $633,000 that requires a 30% match. PennDOT did not announce their grant recipients until July of this year, at which point we had already been and awarded the project. So I nicely turned around to PennDOT and said, hey, thanks for the money. We believe we have a fully funded project. So are you open to discussing other potential projects we could use your money for instead? Working with Jim Babb and Jim McCarthy, I came up with an expansion of scope that I submitted to PennDOT that included 4 projects. One of them was the pedestrian bridge replacement for the bridge that connects the parking lot across from the YR Club to the Stone House. The next was for stormwater improvements on Wayne Avenue. The third was for MS4 stormwater improvements to Paper Mill Road and Berkshire Boulevard. And the fourth was for the Cambridge Avenue culvert. After PennDOT taking that information back to their powers that be, I finally got an answer today that we are okay to go ahead with all of those projects other than the Wayne Avenue project. The other piece that I asked as part of that conversation is the 2 change orders that have already been now approved, at least by this committee, if we could submit for reimbursement for those change orders as well. The response I got from PennDOT is yes, but if the work's already taken place before the actual agreement with PennDOT is executed, that somewhat complicates things. I had a call with Kathy Bruder this morning. Her and I have a follow-up call with PennDOT Wednesday morning to basically go above the head of the person at PennDOT that's telling us we have to do it differently. Kathy's going to go to Jenny Granger and just say, hey, this work's already been done. This is why, the whole point of PennDOT giving the borough this money was for the 4th Street project originally. Can we just do this without having to get creative on where the money's coming from and how it's getting paid? So hopefully I will have a positive answer to that for you on Wednesday. The other piece to these 3 additional projects PennDOT is saying we can now move forward with is one of the questions that came up on that call was who did the design and engineering for these projects? And I said, the borough engineer, McCarthy Engineering. How did you select them? And I went through, the RFP process the borough did back in 2015, how those were sent out, who they were sent to, who responded, how we chose who we chose. Because information was included in the proposals that were submitted relative to rates and fees each of the firms would charge, we cannot use those RFPs. So again, depending on the higher up answer we get from PennDOT, I may have to go through the process of drafting an RFP to be sent to firms of the borough's choosing, specific for design and engineering of these 3 projects, for us to turn around and award it to McCarthy anyways. So it's, in my opinion, an exercise in futility, but if it's what PennDOT needs to give us $633,000, I will gladly do it.
Michelle, are those matching grants or are they fully funded grants for the project?
DCED is fully funded. We owe nothing. PennDOT requires a 30% match, which comes out to, I believe it's like $197,000 off the top of my head.
but you'd have to use $197,000 for those projects or for something else.
For those 3 projects. So the total, these were all put in the budget. Phyllis captured, estimated revenue based off the $633,000. And I think she actually put in $250,000 for the borough's match. So,
they were part of the 4th Street project that was budgeted for the excess. So you just want to move it over to them.
Yes. So, I mean, the good news is we're looking at almost $1 million in additional projects getting done for about $200,000 of the borough's money.
All right, so you finance guys are okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah, my only question to Jim would be is after change order number 3, how far into the contingency are you?
Well, the contingency is $170,000, and with change order 3, I think we're at $49,000.
So do you think we're going to be okay, or you think there's more surprises coming?
I think we're going to be okay. We're through the real. We were worried about finding some weird stuff in 4th Street. We're not as worried.
What happens to the excess of the contingency if it's not used for the project, Michelle? Can that be used for something else?
I mean, at this point, to be on the safe side till we're through the project, I would want to put, whatever the contingency is at the top of our priority list for PennDOT to be used. And then outside of that, the 3 other projects. And that was part of the reason they asked to take Wayne Avenue off the list, because doing that, we wouldn't have the money left over to do Wayne Avenue.
Because from that standpoint, the change orders really aren't in addition to the grant. They're still part of the original grant because they're in the contingency.
Correct, which is why I went, when PennDOT was like, oh, well, what's going on with the change orders? And I'm like, you originally gave us this money for PennDOT or for 4th Street. This is part of 4th Street.
Right.
I don't understand why we have to jump through the hoop to be able to use the PennDOT grant towards the change orders, but it is what it is. So I'll jump through the hoop. They clarified today we can use the funds for the change orders. It's just whether it's done with us getting creative with how those invoices came in and the work being done before the grant was executed, or whether the higher up at PennDOT comes back and says, here's a special authorization, just do it.
But they approved the overall project beforehand, so the contingency dollars should be part of it.
Agreed, but this is PennDOT you're dealing with, Keith.
Right, and the contingency dollars are really in the DCED bucket.
Oh, which is a match.
No, that was
no
100% grant.
Okay.
That was the grant portion. Then PennDOT had the 70-30 match portion.
Right. Okay.
Can't stop now.
Yeah, really.
You can have half a road.
Oh, God. All right. Let's see. Then anything else for that? All right.
Then just an update. They on the project as far as what's going on. The road has been the base course has been laid from North Wyomissing Boulevard to Greenwood Street, and then from Greenwood Street to Innovation Way, all that paving and sub base has been removed. And depending on weather over the winter, they will put the curbing in up within what we used to call the VF North property. So that in the springtime, they'll be ready to start on the paving again.
Okay. All right. All right. Then the pedestrian signal there, or sign. I'm sorry, sign.
We just received those signs. They were ordered. Hope to have them up in about a week or so.
Okay. All right. Now the bridge, which we heard some about there. Do we need other information about that? I guess just put out the bids, I guess, Jim?
Yeah, if we want to move forward with that, our permit with DEP expires June 30th, so we have to start construction before June 30th, and then they'll extend it for another year. If we don't start before June 30th, they'll make us reapply. Gotta love bureaucracy.
Yeah. What would that include? As long as we got some kind of a shovel sitting back there, is that part of it, or what?
Yeah, pretty much. Once we notify them that we're starting and we have our pre-construction meeting, they'll consider that to be the start of construction.
Okay.
And then if we have to, I'll take a shovel and dig a hole so they can see it.
Okay. All right. Then we want to, I guess, we need a recommendation. Does this have to go to council, Chris, or what's the deal here?
Yeah, this has to go to council.
For the bid process, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, then I look for a motion to proceed with preparing a bid document for the pedestrian bridge there on Parkside Drive South, or YR Bridge, I guess they're calling it.
So moved.
We're going to change it to the Stonehouse Bridge because the governor doesn't like the name YR Bridge.
Oh, boy. Got it. Stonehouse Bridge, okay.
Second.
And I heard a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Public Works Facility, any comments on that?
Grant recipient awards should be announced on Wednesday, so stay tuned. We might be getting a $1 million+ Christmas present from the state.
Okay, we'll find out.
With what match?
That's a 50% match.
Wait.
So it's half a Christmas present, but we'll take it.
Yeah. Whew. That's still a big chunk of change there. All right. Storm flood damage on number 11. Comments there. Jim?
Well, we issued a draft a version of that revised report from last year based on some additional recommendations associated with the Brandywine area, Brandywine Lincoln area.
Yep.
And I think that may be better to discuss some of those in executive session. I defer to Chris on that.
Chris?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. There's potential litigation involved in this project and how we handle it. So I would recommend that there be an executive session discussion.
Okay. Now,
Objection, Mr. Chairman.
Hold it. Jeez.
Objection, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I hear you. Chris, comment, please.
Well, I need to hear Mr. Jadick tell us what his objection is.
All right.
Potential litigation is not among the reasons for an executive meeting.
Chris?
Looks like he's getting a big book out.
Yeah, I'm getting the big book out because I think some.
All right, so what do we have to do? What do we have to do right now while you're looking at the book there? Anything else with that at all?
Oh,
Should just be looked at by the committee, and as their final recommendations, we'll make the final adjustment to it and issue the final report.
Is there, now it says attached there, I don't know, is that something that is sent out or will send out? Is that huge document that they're supposed
Melissa sent it out last week. It's like 23 megabytes.
Okay, that might be why I didn't get it. I don't think I have that document. I know I don't. So Melissa, I need to get that. Are we all supposed to review that then before we discuss that further?
Yeah, I would think basically the sections that have been revised, other than minor, spelling grammar things, are really the recommendations on the Brandywine Lincoln area.
Okay, I don't know. Melissa, you want to try to resend that to me then? I definitely don't have anything that's that big in my file, that's for sure.
Yep, I'll try resending it.
Okay. Did everyone else get it?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, I got it. Don't send it to me again, Melissa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heat up his computer.
And the Christmas tree border is, just so we know, it's the draft version. If anybody looked at it, there's little Christmas trees around the border of the pages.
Okay. No, I definitely
We figured
didn't
we'd
get
do that and be festive with the draft version as well.
Okay, so is it appropriate then to make sure everybody's read that? Or am I the only one who didn't see it? Did everybody else read through? I mean, is everyone else satisfied with it?
I think it's a very comprehensive report.
Okay. Well, I'd like to see it. What's the timetable there, Jim? We aren't under any kind of a,
We're under no timetable that can proceed at infrastructure and council's pace as they see fit.
well, I certainly would like to look at it, that's for sure.
I mean, the one positive thing with that area was since this study has been initiated, there has not been a flooding situation in that area.
Yeah.
So, that's good. At least we know that it was somehow, tied to those really wet 18 months that we had where the ground was saturated.
Well, and the other hope is with the information that was sent back to PEMA for it to be added to the hazard mitigation plan, that will trigger PEMA and FEMA to do a letter of map revision on their own, saving the borough the cost of having to do that.
Oh, man. Well, they need to do that anyway, I would think, or should.
They should.
Yeah, they should, that's right. Okay, so then really at this point, I would say we won't, no executive session anyway at this point. I want to look at that closely, and if we're under no timeline, I can come back and comment on that in January.
I'm glad I could help.
Okay, all right. Anything else with that one then, Jim?
Nope, that is all with that at this point.
Okay, Verizon.
Chris has prepared a first draft ordinance that him and I are picking through with a fine tooth comb. Because we want to get the language right before we present it to the committee. Him and I need to, almost set up a phone call to go over it word for word. So progress.
Okay.
And this ordinance will be an amendment to the zoning ordinance because in order to make these aesthetic regulations for new non-tower wireless communication facilities enforceable by the borough, it needs to be in the zoning ordinance.
All right, and just out of curiosity, how do you make them aesthetically, whatever, pleasing or whatever? How do you change an antenna into something else, cover it up somehow?
Well, that was some of the things we talked about previously about, did you want spacing requirements? Do you want them to look a certain way, like disguised like a street lamp or, something similar? So we took that information and feedback we got from the committee and rolled it into.
All right, I didn't know if there was anything solid or substantial with that at this point. Okay.
It'll look like a tree with lights on it.
Oh, geez. All right, the grass mowing bids. I guess we got some there, Pat?
Yes, sir. We've received 3 bids on the annual grass cutting situation. Connolly Landscaping decided not to bid back on the project. There are 24 mowing locations in the borough, and these 3 bidders, this is per mowing per week. So this is a weekly cut of all 20, double check that, all 25 fields. The low bidder was Smitty's Lawn Service in Sinking Spring. Number 2 bidder was Green Advantage Lawn Service, and then Anna Waltz was the third. The Smitty's bid is $1,725 per weekly cut. Green Advantage is $2,764 per weekly cut, and Anna Waltz was $5,078 for weekly cut. Smitty's does have some experience with municipal clients, including Spring Township and Lower Heidelberg, and we've spoken to them, and they are very happy with their work. So I would request the committee recommend to council the awarding of the grass bid this year to Smitty's Landscaping in Sinking Spring for $1,725 per weekly cut.
And when do we start that historically, around April or?
I believe so, Tom, yeah. Depends on how bad winter is.
That fit in the budget?
Yeah, is it in the budget?
Yes, yes.
What were we paying last year?
I'm sorry, what, Keith?
What were we paying last year?
Yeah, that's what I want to know is how does that compare to last year?
I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me. I'll have to get that back to you. I can have that to you tomorrow.
Okay. I don't know, we don't have a current, I guess, invoice there or something to look it up. I was just curious how it stacked up with that. Is it comparable though, or you're not sure? I guess without Jim here, we don't know. He could, with Jim.
Does that include the islands on the boulevard?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And are those islands on the boulevard, I assume that's all considered one item?
Yeah, well, that's, oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, we don't count each island separately is what he's asking, I guess. That's not part of the 25 or 4 locations, is it?
Yeah, there are, under street malls, there are 15 street malls. Like Wellington Boulevard is a street mall. Squire Court is a street mall. Penn Avenue is a street mall. Lincoln Avenue Strip, Lyers Lane Strip, Howland Square, Hamilton Place, Greenwood Mall, Fountain Park, Edgewood Court, Cherry Drive, Cardinal Place, Cambridge, Bristol, and Brandywine. So there's 15 of them split out, Steve, as the malls.
Okay. All right, and also then like what was the playground or?
That's correct. We have 2 playgrounds: Happy Hollow and Wyomissing Hills, the borough buildings, and the sports fields.
Right.
And we think that $1,700 a week is going to fit into the budget that we put together for 2021.
Yes, sir. As far as I know, I'll confirm that if you want to
A little
wait.
better than I say we move ahead.
Okay, and I'll look for a motion to take Smitty's there of Sinking Spring.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Smitty's.
And I'll
got it.
get you, I'll send out to you tomorrow the comparison price between what it was last year and what the actual total number for budget is.
The only comment would be that because it's the Anawalt's was 5,000 and the next closest was 3,000. If for some reason college was paying 2,500, and this guy's coming in that much cheaper, that might be a flag.
Well, they can't cut it any faster than they cut the stuff before. This last group went through about 35 miles an hour and cut grass. It was unbelievable.
Don't get in the way. Jeez. All right. I agree with that though. Yeah, what's the deal there? Okay, he wants the business, I guess. So what, I mean, the other thing is, Pat, look up and see about how many times we paid that then, just out of curiosity. Oh.
How many weeks?
Yeah, I mean, he does it every week, even if we have a dry spell for like, 4 weeks and.
No.
So no, I know, but I mean, do you have to tell him then, don't come this
No,
week?
I'm pretty sure they track it and keep an eye on it.
Okay. All right. The school district light.
Mike?
Oh, no, wait. Did we finish that? Do we need a motion for that, don't we? Or are we okay with that?
It needs to be a motion.
Yeah, Melissa, did we finish that?
The motion for the mowing was Steve Brunner and Tom Mull.
Okay, all in favor? I'm not sure if I did that.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Smitty's it is. All right, the light, the road signal at Woodland Road.
Chris had prepared an agreement that I had sent to the school district for their execution and return to the borough. Mike Caffincelli from the school district reached out with his primary concern about the agreement is that the school district would become responsible for maintenance and ownership of all of the signals, not just the one on Woodland, also the ones around the junior, senior high school. And I mean, Mike made a valid point, which is the signal is technically in the borough's right of way. He doesn't think he's going to get buy-in from the school district to sign off on the agreement. So I had that conversation with Mike this afternoon. I called Jim since Jim I knew wasn't going to be able to participate in the meeting this afternoon. And he's been the one that's mainly been responsible in the past for dealing with any issues that come up with those signals. He said as far as he's concerned, it's not a deal breaker if the school will not sign the agreement. He just figured there was a shot to get them to take over maintenance and ownership. Why not go for it? Chris, I don't know what your thoughts on that are, but Jim's opinion was if the school won't sign it, fine, we'll just keep it.
Well, we still need an agreement for the Woodland Road signal. I think that, I mean, they're not objecting to that piece of it, are they?
No, they just don't want to be responsible for maintenance or ownership.
All right, because what we were doing was, you know, trying to change the past practice with regard to the signals at the junior, senior high school. So I can understand them feeling like we are, you know, taking advantage of the new sign to change the maintenance responsibility for the old sign. But I, you know, and I'm still unclear, Michelle, is he saying that they don't want to maintain the Woodland Road signal either?
Correct.
All right. Well, then it's up to the committee whether or not they're willing to have the borough assume responsibility for maintenance of all these signs.
Well, just a comment from me. Let's say, who runs the sign? You know what I mean? Like who punches in the times and sets it all up and all that business? Does the school do that, or do we do it?
Telco does it. Jim basically calls Telco. I asked him last week what the main maintenance issues are, and he said it's really twice a year when the clocks change. He calls Telco and they go out and change the information in the controller. Or if there's a light out, those are the real issues.
Yeah, we're doing that for all the other signs already, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I didn't know who did that. I didn't know if they set up the time or we did or what. Okay.
Let's do it.
I was just wondering who did it. That's all. Okay. Then do we need a motion on that stuff here or what?
Yeah, because this is a change from a prior decision. So I would recommend a motion that the committee recommends to council that the borough take responsibility for the new signal and retain responsibility for the existing signals.
I'll make
Okay.
So
that.
moved.
Who said that? Steve?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
We'll put
Anyone-
that on the they owe us one list.
Yeah. Okay. I have a couple other items to just mention here at the end before we close out. One, the no maintenance areas that we have for the winter. I noticed the steps from Fairview down the steps and up the other side to Garfield. They have a lot of footprints on them. I know the sign says no maintenance, but is there anything that we can do to, you know, after we've got everything cleaned up or we're cleaning stuff up, that those steps can't be kind of, you know, run over with a shovel or something there? I see a lot of footprints on them. So they're not empty is what I guess is what I'm saying.
I think one of the issues there, based off of a field meeting I had with some of the Parks and Public Works guys Friday morning over at the library and looking at the sidewalks there, in a snow event like the one that we had last week, obviously the guys are primarily focused on cleaning streets and alleys first and foremost. By the time they get to the sidewalks, and the library was a great example of this, it took them twice, if not 3 times, the amount of time it should have taken them to clean those, just because people had walked on them, tramped them down. That was a snow event where you had snow, sleet, and more snow. So things kind of melt, kind of get packed down, becomes a solid sheet of ice. And I mean, they were just breaking their backs out there Friday morning trying to get everything up. So they would get to the areas where the winter maintenance signs are, or where the no winter maintenance signs are. If you have that kind of foot traffic on them, you know, I don't know how they would be able to get that compacted snow and ice up easily.
That would be a mess to clean up, please believe me. Now,
And Tom, the other thing is we would have to basically make arrangements to clean all those stairways. We have 3 of them in Wyomissing Hills, plus the remainder throughout the borough.
And Spiral Lane is in the same situation. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's true. And we think there is no, although,
Why don't we just,
I know.
why don't we just put a chain across these with a borough padlock and prevent?
sir, I don't think.
Shady, would you be quiet?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I know it says no winter maintenance, but I don't know. I'm just wondering too. I just see there were a lot of people walked on it. All right, I get it. And I know we opened a can of worms, I guess, between Spiral Lane and up in the hills. And there's several of those pathways up there. And, okay. I'll show
Those
up.
are borough properties, sir.
All right. Can we emphasize in the borough newsletter or the website about adopting a hydrant? I noticed there are a lot of fire hydrants are dug out by the property owners, it looks like, but I also see a lot that are half covered. Now, I know it's going to rain and melt away and everything, and we might be okay there, but I'm wondering if we should re-emphasize, advertise, or whatever you want to call it, about adopt. It used to be called adopt a hydrant, and if it's out in front of your house or whatever, dig the darn thing out for us. You think that needs to be done? I mean, I don't know. That's what I've noticed and observed. I don't know if anybody else has or not.
That's actually
Certainly put it in the newsletter.
Yeah, that's a good idea because I don't recall the last time we did that.
The Station 79 did post that on Facebook to adopt a hydrant.
Yeah.
And I had saw that it got like viewed 70 sometimes, I believe.
Okay, well, I would hope it would help. I mean, I'm sure it would because it doesn't take that long to dig out a hydrant, I know, but it could be a lifesaver. So, okay, well, the newsletter, the one that comes out in the fall would be good. And if it's on the website and they have it on the Facebook, that's good. The other thing I wanted to ask about was how are we doing with, since we're mentioning COVID here, with collections of things like water bills and things? I guess that's a big one. Is that going okay? Do we have a lot of people stuck or what's
We
happening?
have, I think we have quite a few, Tom. Cycle 1 in the borough, which is water, sewer, and trash, there are 45 households which are at the 60-day mark of being behind. There are 21 households at the more than the 60-day mark. On the other cycle, which is Pennsylvania American Water, is the water bill, and then the borough has hydrant, street, and trash. There are 31 households at 60 days and 11 households in more than 60 days.
Wow. Okay, is that, I don't know what to compare that with. Is that unusual with what's going on, I guess?
I believe it's unusual. Normally, due to the finances of everyone right now, I would say that it's increased significantly.
Okay, I don't know what the solution is to that. We just let it go. I mean, we've decided not to press anything here at the present time, I guess.
I think we generally would not be shutting water off during the winter months to begin with. We could basically take a look and refine the report. Kim did a very good job on the report for us. We could refine that report and, see if we want to, reinstitute service collection on, the end of the first quarter in March of next year.
Yeah, and are these all residences or are there any commercial structures in there? Or
these are households, yes.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any comments about that? That number keeps going up, I assume.
Well, one comment that you could consider is even if you're not taking any collection efforts, meaning filing liens or anything of that sort, you could send a letter to these households and ask if they would like to be on a payment plan with the borough so they could catch up a little bit at a time over a period of time. I don't know if you want to wait until March to do that, but it might be easier if they would start a payment plan now before they get further behind.
I'll check Chris to make sure that this is happening, but I'm pretty sure that Kim is already working with these residents on most of them trying to establish payment plans. They do continue to receive their late notices, and those late notices have on there about contacting the borough regarding, payment plan.
And what is that? That's 10%?
I'm not sure what that is, Tom.
I think it's 10%. Okay, I was just wondering, I mean, I know we have to keep paying, obviously, Western Berks. And I was just wondering how much that's affecting our finances, quite frankly. I didn't know. Is that 45 and 21? Is that tens of thousands of dollars, or I don't know what the deal would be there.
The 45 and 21 certainly probably ends up to about 28,000. The 31 and 11 cycle 3 is about 15,000 for both of them.
So maybe.
So you have 28,000 and 15,000.
$45,000. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Is there a way we can make that payment plan easier? I mean, if we offered direct payroll or deduction from your account, sign up for that. Can you do that?
I think you can, Steve. Michelle, do you know that for sure?
You can, yes. There's a couple different ways you can pay your bill. Either automatic debit that it's just, pulled out when your bill's due. You can go on the borough website. You have to request a special PIN, but then you can pay it through the website, or obviously you can drop your payment off at Borough Hall or mail it to the P.O. Box in Ithaca.
Maybe if people knew they could do it automatically deducted from their account, it might have less people on it.
Yeah.
We have that information on the utility bill and on the website. I can ask him if she can give me a percentage of people, like how payments are received, a percentage between, just mailed to the Dropbox versus online versus direct debit.
Okay, just a thought.
But for $45,000, we should keep an eye on it anyway. That's for sure. Okay. All right. Anyone have anything else, sir?
I just wanted to commend the guys on what they did last week. I mean, some of the Public Works and Parks guys worked 30+ hours straight to get everything cleared as best as they could before they called it a day on Thursday. And we received a ton of positive feedback on the Parks and Rec page about snow removal and what a great job they did, and some extra efforts that were made by some of the guys to help residents shovel out or clean out. So I just wanted to say that in a public forum.
Hey, Michelle, I'll double that. I agree. I think those guys and gals worked their rear ends off. I thought they did a really good job. Our streets are better than any other neighboring municipalities around 24 hours later. I also think we got to find a way to let some homeowners know that maybe it's not a good idea to take your snow and plow it into the street after all the streets have been plowed.
Good luck on that one, Steve.
Can't hurt to let them know.
We'll put that in the newsletter as well.
Forever.
We can also add a comment to the
whole
utility
sidewalk,
bills.
a whole driveway get plowed into the street 5 minutes after the borough went through.
Yeah.
It was a beauty. And it wasn't Jenks.
Actually, I believe that's a violation under the motor vehicle code.
That's all fine and dandy, but you gotta stop them doing it.
Yeah. Do we have any complainers about plowing anybody's driveway closed?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, that's good. I was just wondering, I heard some of
Did we have any issues with the trucks?
We had one vehicle get stuck, which we had to do a tow over on Old Wyomissing Road on ice, but that's the only one. No damage.
No damage. Good. Okay.
no damage to like private property, you mean, Pat? Is that it?
No, sir. It's ran over onto some grass in the borough there along Old Wyomissing Road. Off Old Mill.
The game.
All right. Okay. If there is nothing else, then we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yep.
Merry Christmas.
Yep.